see myself. Okay, I'm back after a break, and now I want to give you a few examples of the prisoner's dilemma, of games which are prisoner's dilemma games. So which of these games are prisoner's dilemma games? Let's start with the first one. Okay, so we see that actually down dominates, that down dominates up because 5 is more than 4 and 1 is more than 0. Also, we can see that R dominates L. 5 is more than 4 and 1 is more than 0. So once I put the arrows, I know what should be the outcome. So first of all, every player has strictly dominant strategy. Down for 1, right for 2. 5 is more than 4, 1 is more than 0. When they play these two strategies, their dominant strategies, then the outcome is 1-1. And then the question, is it inferior to one of the outcomes? Yes, it is inferior to 4-4. Therefore, the two conditions of the prisoner's dilemma game are satisfied, and therefore it is a prisoner's dilemma game. Let me tell you, it cannot be, if I have a game 2x2 like this one, the only inferior to 1-1 can be 4-4. It cannot be 5-0-0-5. Why? Because if down is a dominant strategy, 1 is more than 0. If R, so it cannot be inferior to this. And 1, this one, if R is strictly dominant strategy for 2, again, 1 is bigger than 0. So it cannot be inferior to this. It can only be inferior to a diagonal. That's with 2x2. Okay, so this is an example of a prisoner dilemma game where the outcome of is 1-1. By the way, I should say, the strategy of player 1 is down, the strategy of player 2 is R, and the outcome is 1-1. Okay, which is inferior to 4-4. Let's do the second example. We can see that actually, no player is strictly dominant strategy. Look, down for player 1, 5 is more than 4, but 0 equal to 0. In this case, we call it weakly dominant strategy. Why weakly? Because here I have indifference, 0 and 0. If 5 is more than 4 and this is equal, I would say that this is weakly dominant strategy. Also, R is weakly dominant strategies because 5 is more than 4 and 0 is like 0. So in a prisoner's dilemma game, the requirement is that every player has strictly dominant strategy. And therefore the answer, is it a prisoner's dilemma game? The answer is no. Let's look on this game. We can see that up is strictly dominant. Why? 5 is more than 3, 3 is more than 2. Good. Does player 2 has a strictly dominant strategy? 3 is more than 2, 5 is more than 4. Yes. So she plays R and he plays up, and I'm telling you, you have to put the arrows to know what is the outcome. This is the outcome. Is this outcome inferior? It cannot be inferior to 5-2. Because 3 is more than 2. It cannot be inferior to 2-5 because 3 is more than 2. However, so if at all it should be inferior to 3-4, it is inferior for player 2 but not for player 1, and therefore it is not inferior. Inferior means that you have an outcome which is better for both players. So the answer is it is not a prisoner's dilemma game. Let me go here. I have X, 2, 6, 1, 4, 4, 5, 3. Here, look. In order to make it a prisoner's dilemma game, first of all, the answer for what X, the following game is a prisoner's dilemma game. So, since 6 is more than 5, and I look for a strictly dominant strategy for 1, it must be up. It cannot be down because 6 is more than 5. So I have to have X more than 4. If X is more than 4, 6 is more than 5, then this is strictly dominant. For player 2, we can see that L is strictly dominant. Why? 2 is more than 1 and 4 is more than 3. So now I look on the two arrows and I see that the outcome is x2. It must be inferior. It cannot be inferior to 4, 4, or 6, 1 for the reason I described before, only to diagonal. So in that case, 2 is indeed smaller than 3, and I need x to be smaller than 5. So therefore, it will be a prisoner's dilemma game if x is in between 4 and 5. Okay? Good. Let's take another example. Let's talk about this one. In order to, first 3 is more than 2. I can see for player 1. So if at all I have a chance to have a strictly dominant strategy, it must be up. And this will happen if x is more than 2. Let me write it. Sorry. X is more than 2. Okay. Let's see about player 2. 3 is more than 2, 5 is more than 4, great. So the outcome is x and 3. So it should be inferior to, it cannot be to this or to this, must be to 2 and 4. So 3 is less than 4, great. And x should be less than 2, but it cannot be that x is more than 2 and x is less than 2, contradiction. I don't know what's contradiction. And therefore, the answer is no x make it a prisoner's dilemma game. Let's do the other example. I see that 0 is less than 1. So if at all will be a dominant strategy, is down for player 1. So I need that 2 is more than x, or x is smaller than 2. What about player 2? 6 is more than 5, 4 more than 3, so it's clear that this is a dominant strategy. The outcome is this. It must be inferior. 4 is less than 5, great. So 1, okay, this is the outcome, should be inferior, must be smaller than x. So x is bigger than 1. If x is bigger than 1, then this is inferior to this. And the answer is now x is in between 1 and 2. So this condition was to make sure that down is strictly dominant strategy. Why? 2 is more than x, 2 is more than x, 1 is more than 0, it's dominant strategy. Here I don't need anything, 6 is more than 5, 4 more than 3, it's a dominant strategy, strictly dominant strategy. So now when they play these two dominant strategies, they get 1 and 4. The second requirement of prisoner's dilemma game is that the outcome must be inferior. So 4 is smaller than 5, and 1 should be smaller than x, or equivalently, x bigger than 1. Great. Okay, now I want you to watch 2 videos. Great one on a game that the name of the game is steal or split, or split or steal. And here is the site of the YouTube, and the game is amazingly nice. And I want to, after you watch this video, I want to analyze this game. So please now, let's take a break to watch the 2 videos.
And Nick now have £13,600 in front of them. We know they've got it, but the golden question is, can they keep it? Abraham and Nick, you now face a very straightforward choice, but it's a choice that could make one or both of you extra wealthy, but it could also lose both of you everything that you have fought for today. They have to decide to split or steal. Abraham, Nick, you have 2 final golden balls in front of you, and they are the most important golden balls of the game. You each have a golden ball with the word split written inside. You both have a ball with the word steal written inside. You will know which is split and which is steal because you're going to have a look. If you both pick the split ball, you split the 13,600 and you go home with 6,800 each. If one of you chooses the steal ball and the other chooses the split ball, whoever chooses the steal ball goes home with the whole lot, 13,600. But if you both choose the steal ball, you leave today's game with what you came with, nothing. It's the ultimate test of faith, trust, and let's face it, greed. Take a moment to look at the balls in front of you so you know for definite which is split and which is steal, but obviously keep them concealed from each other. Just have a look. Okay. It's the easiest choice, but the most difficult one. What I want you to do is to spend half a minute talking to each other about what you both should do. Nick, Abraham.
Abraham, I want you to trust me. 100% I'm going to pick the steel ball.
Sorry, you're going to...
I'm going to choose the steel ball.
You're going to take the
I
steel?
want you to do split, and I promise you that I will split the money with you.
Well, after you've took the steel?
Yeah.
You're going to take steel?
Yeah.
I'm going to take split?
Yeah.
So you take the money?
And I will split it with you.
After the show?
Yeah. Abraham, I promise you I'll do that. If you do steal, we both walk away with nothing. I'm telling you 100% I'm going to do it.
I appreciate that. Right, I'll give you another alternative. Why don't we just both pick split?
I'm not going to pick split. I'm going to steal. Abraham, honestly, 100% I'm going to steal.
It's in your nature to steal.
No, I'm honest, and I'm going to tell you...
You're an honest man.
I am. That's why I'm telling you I'm going to steal. If you do split, then I will split the money.
I can't see myself doing that.
Okay, well, I'm going to steal, so we're going to leave with nothing.
Where's your brains coming from? I can't work out...
I know that I'm a decent guy and I will split the money with you.
Well, we should just both split then.
No, I'm going to do steal.
There is no legal requirement for him to give you the money.
Of course. If I gave you my word... Now, let me tell you what my word means.
Okay.
My father once said to me, a man who doesn't keep his word is not a man. He's not worth nothing. Not worth a dollar.
I agree.
So...
Abraham, I'm going to steal. So you've got the choice. You either steal and we both walk away with nothing, because you know I've told you my intention and I've told you that I will split the money with you, Abraham.
If I gave you my word that I was going to split, I would split. And you're going to take steal, so...
The only way you can guarantee to walk away with 6,800
is by
to
sharing.
guarantee that you both put the split ball in. And I do now have to push you for a decision. It's a tough one.
We've lost it. We've lost everything.
Okay. Class then.
We're walking away with no money because you're an idiot.
No, that's
You're
not
an
true.
idiot. You're an idiot. That's what you are. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's what you are.
This can go on all night, and these people have got to get up for breakfast. Nick, choose split or steal. Abraham, choose split or steal. Now, please. Choose a ball.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with you.
Okay.
I'm going to go with
I promise you I will split it.
You cannot change your balls now. Split or steal? Yes, congratulations, you're both split and each received £6,800.
Why did you put me through that? Why did you do it to me? You're the worst person I've ever met. That was a good one, wasn't it?
Well, it's charity all the way, and a market trader you can really trust. Congratulations to you both. I've been Jasper Carrot. This has been a remarkable game. They've been lovely. This has been Golden Balls. Until next time, goodbye.
Now I won the money. I feel drained. I feel drained. That was the hardest money I've ever had to work for.
I feel great. He obviously hasn't worked in the charity sector to try and get money. I'm going to buy an oven, and I think me and my friend are going to Australia.
With the money I've won, I think I'll respray my yacht.
Applying for a job? Create a perfect resume at resume.io with our professionally designed.
What happened? It will show the...
No,
Okay.
it's still recording. You can continue now.
Okay. I don't see me. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the game. It's an amazing game, and it has more than, more than I want to show you here. But let me be very formal here, just to describe the game in the most simplest way. So actually, the two players, they play simultaneously. As you see, they open up at the same time, the balls. And now each one of them can split or steal. So let's say that there is $100,000, let's say $100 or pound to split. So if both of them split, okay, if one decide to split and two decide to split, then each gets 50-50. If player one chooses the split ball and player two chooses the steal ball, player one loses, the steal wins, and he gets the entire 100. Opposite, if player one goes for the steal and player two for the split, then player one wins, 100, player two gets nothing. But if both of them steal, then none of them get anything. That's the rule of the game. So now let's look on the outcomes, and we can see actually that steal is weakly dominant strategy. Why? 100 is more than 50, and 0 is like 0. Let me say this. Let's say that we assume that if both of them go steal, okay, then each of them get 1 cent. Then it will become strictly. Let's say I put here 1 cent, sorry about that. 1 cent, it's 0.01 and 0.01. Let's say that this is the case, okay, instead of this. It's almost the same, okay? Then still becomes strictly dominant strategy. 100 is more than 50, 1 cent is more than 0. Also for the other guy, 100 is more than 50, 1 cent is more than 0. In that case, clearly I should go still, and also 2 should go still, and actually the rational outcome is 0-0. So in this one, I completely ignore the psychology of the players playing this game and how they look, poker face or not. But in any event, if you are a smart guy, you have to go still. Okay, by the way, the other one, it's not clear what in the last video, what the one that committed to go steal and eventually go split, he could get the same result as he promised. If he would go steal, he will get the entire money and then split, if you believe him, after the show. But he decided not to show, his reputation on stake. And in this description of the game, I don't take into account reputation loss or stuff like this. It's just, the pure numbers that play the role here. So clearly, if you play such a game, your best is to steal. And by the way, even if it is weakly dominant, what can you lose? You can only gain by going steal. If the other one also goes steal, 0 in any case. If a player 2 goes split and you go steal, you get 100, more than 50. So no matter what, you cannot lose, you can only win by going steal. Steal is weakly. Why weakly dominant? Because you are indifferent between this and this. But still, it is a rational player, okay? In my opinion, at least a rational player, if he has or she has a dominant strategy, even weakly, should choose the weakly dominant strategy. Because what does it mean, a weakly dominant strategy? It's better than the other strategies or equal and sometimes better. So you cannot lose, and no way that you lose by choosing the weakly dominant strategies. And it's very possible that you make more. So you cannot lose, you can only gain by playing a weakly dominant strategy. Okay, so, but this is more or less what I wanted to say, I mean, regarding the prisoner's dilemma game and weakly dominant strategies, but that's not the end of it. We will come back soon with other very important, interesting, that one can draw conclusion from in the next session. Until then, stay tuned. Thank you.